How do I take that? Darn, Jerome is back.
Oh,
Oh man, that's serious,
man. We're all happy you're back, Jerome.
I guess. Good.
Okay. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday night meeting of UNJURY Cares. This is the lifelong support group, which means that we are talking about things that will affect your lifelong success post-bariatric surgery, but that does not mean that it's not an appropriate place for pre-op patients as well. So we do a meeting that is really geared toward that pre-op education on the in-between weeks. So next week, we'll be doing something on, I don't know if it's protein. No, I think it's vitamins next week. I think we're talking about vitamins next week.
Yes,
Either
of course
way,
you can all be here. I meant to
yes,
ask.
yes.
This is all great education for long-term success.
Yes.
So there's a lot more to it than the sort of standard pre-op education. So that's why we do this.
Absolutely. Yep. So tonight we're going to be talking about how sleep affects weight and just general sleep health, which is super, super helpful. As many people know, there's a lot of focus on nutrition leading up to bariatric surgery, but there are other things that affect whether or not you're going to be able to do all of those great nutrition tips and habits well. And one of those things is sleep. And Candace is going to share some of that with us tonight. But for those of you who are here for the very first time, I want to tell you a little bit about how the meeting runs. We go from 7 to 8 p.m. Everybody who is here is counted by Zoom. So if you need an attendance receipt after this meeting, Zoom provides a report for us. We send out an email. The email says thank you and attendance. And inside that email is where you'll find your attendance receipt that you can send on to your clinic and get credit for being here. We don't give credit for watching the video afterwards, just because we don't get a report on that. Hi, Elizabeth. Good to see you. And if you haven't received attendance receipts from last week, I apologize. The person who normally does them, Karina, has been away. I've been trying to keep up, but I haven't gotten to everybody. So hang in there. We'll get to you. You might have to email a second time and say, hey, I really need my attendance receipt. But also check your email, check your spam, look for that email that says thank you and attendance. Okay.
This is a classic. Wait a minute. My husband thought my chocolate peanut butter balls were meatballs and something put them in the spaghetti sauce. Oh my God.
Oh no. Chocolate peanut butter pasta sauce. That doesn't sound great,
no.
I have to
That's
say.
awesome. I hope everyone survived okay.
Rachel, maybe you can start working on something that can be an actual meatball. Maybe our beef and herb powder could be turned into a meatball somehow.
Absolutely.
And then throw some tomato sauce on it. That's interesting. We could do some like rolled oats and beef and herb. And if Shira's on, Shira, we're going to just put you on this. This sounds right up your street in terms of recipe development. Okay. Anyway, how's everybody? It's a great group. We've got big numbers here. We've got people from all over the country and lots of new people. So good to see everybody. If you're here, you are officially now part of what we call the U Crew. So welcome to the U Crew, everybody. It's a really, really great group, super positive people. We keep it positive here. So if you're about to type something in the chat that is maybe a little judgmental or maybe like, oh, my dietitian said never do that, leave it out of here. We are just cheering each other on here. Everybody gets there their own way. There's no right way to do this. We just do our best to give great advice and lots of support. If you're not having a great day and you feel like you need to say something, shoot us an email, supportgroup@unjury.com. We'd be happy to hear it there. Or you can use the Q&A, which is a good place to put questions for anything that shouldn't be broadcasted to the whole group. And just a reminder too, in the chat, check your little down arrow. And make sure that you're chatting to everyone. If you're just chatting to host and panelist, then the 4 of us are the only people who can see what you're saying. So that somebody who just wrote something about beef tacos, you're only chatting to hosts and panelists. So check your chat. Okay, on the panel tonight, we have Jerome Krashenfels, president and co-founder of UNJURY Protein. We have Rachel Eddy, who is our professional relations manager. She makes sure that all of your dietitians and surgeons have samples of UNJURY protein and takes care of our events and other cool stuff. I'm Christy, I'm your moderator. I'm just gonna make sure that we stay on time. And our special guest of the evening is Candace Moxie. She's been with us once before. We had a very cool meeting on journaling, and we're hoping that Candace, sometime you come back and do that one again too. But tonight I've convinced her, or she's convinced me, that we need to talk about sleep. So Candace, we're so happy to have you. And I will say we'll do this again at the end, but Candace is you're going to tell us the kind of therapist you are. I never get this right, but she is also the founder of the Bariatric Social Worker, which is a great Instagram site if you want to follow her on there. So Candace, I put together some poll questions to ask the group so that we could inform you before you start this, how many people are actually having sleep issues. So let's do that really quick, everybody. All right, here we go. First poll question. Super simple. Do you have trouble sleeping? Do you have trouble sleeping? No, I sleep pretty well. Some, not bad, not what I would like. Yes, I do not sleep well most nights. And if you want to say your answer in the chat, you can do that too. If you can't see the poll question, we've got a lot of yeses happening out there in the chat. So I'm guessing that this is a pretty broadly popular topic, Candace.
Yeah, I know. I know.
A lot of people try to sleep
Yeah.
every night.
Yes.
They try to sleep every night. A lot of people, and they try to sleep for a long time, 8 hours, like 1/3 of their life. So
yeah,
it's amazing that there isn't more. Oh, I can't respond as a panelist, but I'm on the some not bad, but not what I would like.
got it. Okay, do you have trouble sleeping? We've got 23%, not too much, 31%. Yeah, but they don't get enough sleep, or they don't sleep as much as they would like. And then 44% says, yes, I don't sleep well most nights. That's a big number.
Yeah.
That's almost 50% of this group is not getting the sleep that they would want. All right, I'm going to stop this one. The follow-up is, if you answered any of the, yes, I'm having some trouble. If you have trouble sleeping, do you have more trouble getting to sleep, or do you have more trouble staying asleep? That is the follow-up question. More trouble getting to sleep, more trouble staying asleep.
This is always an interesting one. This is always very interesting to see.
Yeah, what the split is. Yeah. And they're rolling in fast in the chat, so I'm not even sure we can keep up there. All right, good. Okay, here we go. End poll. And this is what we've got. 32% have trouble getting to sleep. Almost 70% of that group has trouble staying asleep. Okay. All right, I'm going to stop sharing, and then I promise I'm going to stop talking too, because I think you guys really want to hear what Candace has to say. So Candace, take it away.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I just want to thank you all so much for having me back on. Super exciting. And hi, U Crew. I love that. I love that. Hopefully I'm part of the U Crew too. That's amazing.
Yes, you're officially part, or you've been a part.
Touche. Thank you so much.
Good.
So I'm going to share my screen so we can get right into it.
Okay.
Bear with me. Things are moving the way they want to move as usual. But
no worries. This is always the most dramatic part of the meeting, is the part where somebody shares their screen, because you never know what's going to happen, right?
Exactly. And you see everything.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. So for those of you who remember me, those of you who don't, I'm Candace Moxley. As Christy said, I'm a social worker. I've got my master's degree. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, so I practice independently. I'm also a certified grief-informed professional, as well as a certified clinical trauma professional. And so I just love mental health things. And I basically put all these things into the bariatric community. I just try to fit it all in and teach you all as much as I can. And so I'm 13 years post-op. This coming March, I had vertical sleeve gastrectomy, so I am a patient as well as a professional. So I know what you're going through.
I was going to say, this makes you extra cool in this setting to have lived it and be teaching it. So
I love it. It's such a blessing, to be honest. I mean, I had my own experiences and desires to want to like change my lifestyle. And so I'm blessed to be able to turn this like testimony into like giving back and providing some services. So bariatric mental health is a super important topic for me. And what I mean by that is it's just this intersection between like having bariatric surgery and experiences, the emotional ones, the psychological ones, the social well-being, right? And so I want to pour back into that space, okay? So essentially, I'm calling myself an expert in the field at this point. So
we'll agree with you. We'll agree.
All right. So what we're going to talk a little bit about tonight, we're going to do a little introduction, which I've already done. We're going to do a little checklist exercise. The E is missing, but that's okay. You know what it meant, exercise. And then we'll talk a little bit about the importance of sleep. We'll go over sleep hygiene and some tips. And if you're having trouble sleeping, I have some things for you too. So this is really helpful for pre-op and post-op. Sleep is for everyone. Okay, so just, you know, as weight loss surgery patients, our focus tends to be on weight loss all the time, right? And so, but do you ever really think about what contributes to your weight gain in the first place? And so part of my goal as a social worker and specializing in bariatrics is to educate you on optimizing your whole person, okay? So your wellness, your mind, your body, your spirit. And so I would be remiss if I did not bring up sleep. It is completely overlooked as important because we just take it for granted. But since we're trying to build new habits, right, our lifestyles, you want to incorporate these habits for your long-term success, as Jerome was mentioning, right? And so these new lifestyle changes are going to reduce the bumpy roads going forward, right? And so this is a good opportunity for grounding, just checking in with yourself. Sleep is one of those things that will bring all of that together, okay? So with that being said, I'm providing you here with a little bit of a checklist, okay? So you had a couple poll questions that asked you a couple of these questions already, but I want you to take a minute to look over this list. So reflecting on your sleep hygiene is a really great way to check your habits, okay? And so this essentially brings a lot of awareness to any of those areas that might be causing you some issues in your sleep pattern, okay? And so this checklist is just a bunch of like common factors that are going to affect your overall quality of sleep, all right? So just take a moment. If you answer yes, keep track. If you answer no, keep track. And I'll provide this afterwards so that you all can look at this at another time. But just take a look to see how many of the yeses are popping up for you, okay? Having trouble falling asleep, right? Do you go to sleep at the same time every day? Do you have a glowing clock in your room? Do you have any mental health challenges that come up? Do you exercise regularly? Do you have a healthy diet? These are pretty general questions, okay? So again, it's not right or wrong, but it's just bringing awareness, okay? So
is there a certain number that if you hit like 3 yeses, you probably should be concerned, or not really, you're just keeping track?
You're just keeping track, right? So we're bringing awareness to some areas that could be causing you issues and some areas that you can focus on to just improve, right? And so you know if your sleep is poor. Like for the most part, you know if it is, just like people answered in the poll. So if you're not sure if your sleep is poor, this is a good way to like gauge and go, you know, I do have a glowing clock in my room. That could be something.
Let's do it really quick, because Cheryl just shared that she had 8 yeses. If you, how many people have more than 5 yeses on this list. Just put it in the chat. If you, oh, we've got 9, 9, 9, 9,
Well,
9,
but
9, 8.
time out. Some of
Yeah.
these are positive and some of them are negative if you want to, for sleep.
Oh, that's
right.
true. Do you exercise regularly? Yes.
So,
Okay,
so you
that's
have
true.
to call those, if you answered no to the good things like exercise and healthy diet, count those as part of the number.
That's a great point. That's a great point. And that's why it's very general and why we're bringing awareness to it as opposed to like diagnosing of some sort of this checklist.
Gotcha. Okay. But
So
we've got
go ahead.
lots of people who are hitting a lot of these, though, it looks like.
And it's not uncommon, to be honest. So this is why we talk about it a lot in mental health practice, because it's really one of the things that can make or break a lot of different areas. And so today we're talking about how it contributes to our weight loss surgery journey. All right, moving on. Okay, so why are we talking about sleep? So if you're trying to lose weight or even maintain your weight, getting quality sleep is absolutely crucial, right? We've pretty much made that point in the past like 10 minutes. It's pretty crucial. So poor sleep affects the hormones that regulate your appetite. And so we all know as bariatric patients that those hunger hormones, specifically ghrelin, we all know, especially those who had BSG, vertical sleeve, that's one we're like, wait, but they removed that from my body. Well, there's more than one. And leptin is another one of those hormones. And so essentially those who get adequate sleep, they tend to eat fewer calories than those who don't, okay? So there was a study that found that short sleep can negatively impact some aspects of brain function, similar to that of like alcohol intoxication. So I don't know if you've ever been like so tired that you sort of just felt like you were drinking and you were like kind of, I don't want to say drunk, but like you felt like you were intoxicated, right?
In a fog, for sure. In a fog.
Loopy.
Loopy, yeah.
And so during those times, like your inhibitions are low, you're making poor choices, you're like grabbing anything because you're just trying to stay awake. That's when like fast food comes into play, those poor choices. You're not quite thinking like, I need to get my protein in today, or I need to, get my vegetables. You're like, where are the fries? I need some carbs. I need something to stay awake. More than likely, this is because you didn't get enough sleep. So I'm going to play a really short video for you because I did not come up with this information myself, I promise. But Matt Walker, he's a sleep scientist, a professor and author, and he talks a lot about sleep and these hormones. Can you see? Can you hear?
Can a lack of sleep lead to unnecessary weight gain? Unfortunately, that's what the scientific evidence tells us. Part of the reason is due to an imbalance in 2 key appetite regulating hormones called leptin and ghrelin. Now, leptin sends a signal of fullness to your brain, so you feel satiated by your food. Ghrelin, on the other hand, does the opposite. It sends a signal of hunger to your brain. And sadly, these 2 hormones will go in opposite directions when we're not getting enough sleep. Specifically, a lack of sleep will decrease levels of leptin, so you won't feel as satisfied by your meals. You won't feel full. And if that weren't bad enough, levels of ghrelin will actually increase when you're not getting sufficient sleep. So you'll constantly feel hungry and you'll want to eat more. However, it's not just that you want to eat more when sleep gets short. It's also about a change in what you want to eat. In particular, a lack of sleep will shift your preferences towards desiring higher calorie and sugary carbohydrate foods. What's fascinating is that this relationship between sleep and food is a 2-way street. We've discovered that eating to excess and also eating a diet that contains high amounts of sugar and low amounts of fiber are all associated with significantly worse sleep quantity and sleep quality. The good news here is that we can think of sleep as a new tool to help regulate our body weight, and as a result, improve our overall health and our wellness.
I like the two-way street information. So it's not just that getting poor sleep makes us eat more, it's that when we eat poorly, it makes us sleep worse.
Yes, it is a vicious cycle, right? And so just to raise to that to the leptin, right? So the leptin is the fullness hormone, right? That's the feeling of that satisfied feeling, right? And so when you don't get enough sleep, that feeling of satiation decreases, and then you have ghrelin. That's the head hunger hormone, right? And specifically in sleep surgery, it's mainly produced in your stomach anyway, but it is kind of shows up in other parts of your body, but very, very little, right? And so when you have like specifically around the sleep surgery, they remove it out of your stomach. And so yay, but because it still kind of exists within your system at smaller quantities, if you have a lack of sleep, that hormone increases and then you're going to want to eat more. So just keep that in mind, right? And so that correlation between sleep and food excess is just interesting. If you just take a moment to think about it, better sleep equals better health and wellness, period. Period. Very simple. So continuing on with this list, so good sleep is going to maximize your problem solving skills. It's going to enhance your memory. It enhances physical performance. And so obviously on this wellness journey, a lot of us have really increased our physical activity, right? And so the less sleep you have, I mean, I know I'm speaking for myself that if I feel really sleepy, my workouts are not as good, let alone if I want to work out at all. Okay, so I tend to go to work, I work out in the mornings very early. So if I get poor sleep or if I go to sleep too late and I'm only getting 4 or 5 hours, there's a chance that I'm hitting that snooze button a bunch of times. So not only am I not getting a good workout, mentally I don't feel great anymore, and I might not have moved, period. So there's that.
Yep. There's no workout happening in the morning for sure. I mean, you might squeeze something in the evening, but yeah, 4 or 5 hours of sleep doesn't let much happen in the morning.
Yeah, and it kind of hurts. It kinda hurts. So, your sleep quality and how long you sleep actually can have some major effects on your own health risk factors, right? And so, better sleep can decrease like heart disease risks, strokes. It does affect your blood sugar, and it reduces insulin sensitivity when you're getting good sleep. Okay, so, and of course, my favorite, the impact on mental health, right? And so poor sleep basically creates difficulty when you're regulating your emotions. So I don't know how many of you have children, but I tend to use this as an example with my clients that we know that like children, when they're sleepy, they might not have language to be able to actually say that they're tired, or they're just fighting it off, but they throw tantrums and they're crying and all sorts of things. Adults do that too, just not the same way, but we do have that same desire of like, we're just emotional, right? And so
yeah, that's actually such a good point. We recognize that so easily in like toddlers. That's one of the first things we say is, oh my gosh, they haven't had a nap yet. They didn't sleep well last night. That's why this whole thing is going wrong. And yet we don't recognize it as simply in ourselves.
Yep. We're still human too. They're just little humans.
Yeah.
So, and because of that, so again, you're more vulnerable to like experience depression or anxiety or other mental health challenges when you're not getting good sleep. And obviously, along with nutrition, exercise, good sleep is just a pillar of health. It's a pillar of good health. Okay. All right. So now, most of us have probably heard of at least like sleep apnea, or having to go to like a sleep study before they're having surgery. There is a such thing, people have heard of like insomnia. There's a such thing as hypersomnia. There are tons of sleep disorders, and people have sleep disturbances for one reason or another, okay? And we all kind of experience like poor sleep at one time or another. It's not like one person is completely excused from it and your sleep is going to be perfect 100% of the time. But these are some of the signs if you are, you know, you're checking again, you're bringing awareness to your sleep, right? So if you're having difficulty falling asleep, it's something to pay attention to. If you're having difficulty staying asleep, it's something to pay attention to. Snoring is something to pay attention to. Feeling fatigue, right? So you wake up, you don't even feel rested, you're still feeling tired. Nightmares, also something to bring attention to, right? So these are just a couple of factors that, along with other factors, could mean something else. Maybe you're having, you know, there's issues with anxiety, or there's depression, or just you're just having a bad day, but they're just something to pay attention to, especially if you're having them for longer periods of time. Okay, so not just like one night of falling asleep. We're talking about, I can't sleep, it's been a week. You're going to feel that. Or I'm waking up in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. all the time. It's something to pay attention to, right? And so moving along, we're going to give you a couple tips so that you can kind of make some adjustments going forward, if that is you.
Candace, real quick, somebody in the chat said, what if it's your husband that's doing all the snoring? I guess, I mean, if you're being constantly interrupted throughout the night, even if it's not you that's snoring or you that's truly having trouble sleeping, if you have a really disruptive sleep environment, you could find yourself in trouble too, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is a common thing, right? You have a partner that you're sleeping with, or it could be anything, right, that's causing a disturbance. And so there's an impact on you, but just, you know, the way that we speak about this in the mental health field, right, is like you want to address the issue, not so much the symptoms, right? And so let's say your husband is snoring and it's impacting your sleep, right? So you can do something to support yourself, but really, well, what's going on with your husband? Because that is an area that we might want to tap into for him and for you, right? And so there'll be some tips in here as well for those who are sensitive to noise.
Good.
So good question. So what is sleep hygiene? Okay, so simply put, the Center for Disease Control says that the quality of your sleep, it might be impacted by your behaviors, okay, especially the ones right before bed. So just like any other part of basic self-care, your sleep behavior could benefit from some hygiene as well. Excuse me. So your sleep environment, what's going on in the afternoon, your evening activities, how you're coping with stressors, your routine for sleep. This is all part of good sleep hygiene, okay? Okay, so for a lot of people, trying to implement all of these strategies might be really overwhelming. So remember, it's not like an all or nothing. You can start with something very small tonight, right before you go to sleep. Listen, if by the end of this session, you are feeling sleepy and ready to go to bed, we have done something good. Okay, so this is amazing. So start with something small and then work your way up toward, you know, healthier habits. You can always use that checklist again, like, am I getting better? Are things, you know, working out? So to make these hygiene improvements a little bit more approachable, I broke them up into like categories, okay? So we've got, basically you're gonna creating comfort is key, which is really creating the perfect like bedroom experience, optimizing your sleep schedule, preparing for a good bedtime routine, and then setting yourself up for success with some daytime habits.
I've heard some people say a cooler room, if it's comfortable still, can be better.
Jerome, you're like right in there. You already have the answers to all of my questions. This is amazing. So yes, so that's the first thing that we're going to talk about. Is comfort being key, making your bedroom a place of comfort and relaxation. So the first thing, sleeping in a comfortable environment. Now, so I guess this pop quiz may or may not work now, but take a guess, throw it in the chat. The best bedroom temperature for sleep is approximately how many degrees?
Oh, 35.
Wow. Are these I saw these people in
35.
Wisconsin.
Oh my goodness.
Wisconsin and Minnesota and Montana. Holy
Wrong key.
cow.
Okay. I would freeze at 35.
Yes, me too.
Yes. So the answer is about 65 degrees. And so anywhere between 60 and 70, but 65 is a pretty good amount. And that's even in the winter. Like for those of us on
55.
in the north.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yes.
I guess it's
So-
what you're used to.
I go to bed with leggings and a sweatshirt on in 68 degrees.
Oh, wow.
I think. I know.
I mean, that's pretty fair. I feel like when it's cold, you can make yourself warm and cozy, right? You regulate, but then if it's like super hot, then there's only but so much to take off. So it works out well. So that's one thing. So take a look at like how your thermostat, right? 65 degrees. If you're sleeping at like 75 degrees, right? It seems comfortable during the daytime, but you're sleeping, it might be contributing to poor sleep. You're actually more hot than you think you are. So another thing is keeping your bedroom quiet and dark, right? So that adds to the coolness of it. So we want to make it almost like a cave, sort of, right? Granted, you have bright lights and colors and stuff like that, but
Well, certainly the idea here is experiment a little bit. Try, if you're up higher than 65, try a little lower, 1 degree at a time, and see how it goes.
I like to actually open my windows so that it sort of like gives this like balance. So it kind of gets, it's like a little, I don't know, if it's like warmer in my house and colder outside, I'll like crack the windows so that it kind of brings it down without me like freezing myself out. But yes, experiment. Remember, small steps. You don't have to like drop down 10 degrees tonight and then you're sick. Don't blame me. I'm sorry. Just little by little. So a way that you can do that, right? So you want to use curtains or blinds to block out the light. There's definitely light filtering ones, if that's something that's helpful, or there's like the complete blackout ones. That's really helpful as well. Just remember to open up your shades because you'll oversleep. It'll be 8 p.m. the next day and you're like, how did I do that?
Yeah, I've been in, go ahead, Rachel.
I was gonna say, I've been a culprit of that. I have the blackout shades, but I always make sure they're cracked just a little bit.
Yes.
Or nope, I'm not getting up.
I've done that in a hotel before where I don't have really dark curtains in my room normally, but then, you shut the really heavy blinds and you think, gosh, I could sleep until noon the next day.
Yes. So now if noise bothers you, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in the next slide, but if noise bothers you for specific, that person who was talking about the snoring, maybe earplugs are something that might be helpful. And there's tons of them. Even if you start with something like very soft, like cotton balls, right? Like just to sort of muffle the sound. And then there's obviously other earplugs that you can use as well. Maybe silence is uncomfortable. A lot of people like to sleep with noise in the background and light in the background. So again, these are small steps, and some of these things can be attached to like other experiences. But maybe like a fan or something that creates like that white noise sound, or even, there are apps for your phone that you can create white noise sounds. There's even white noise machines to help with noise. And so there's that. If you're a clock watcher at night, that is me. I am a clock watcher. I've got clocks everywhere. But there's some that like you can dim the brightness, and my clock is really far away so that it's not in my eyes. I've had to take my iWatch off because in the middle of the night it will like flash in my face, and I'm like, oh, let me look at it. So being very mindful of those like bright lights that like pop up, those things can disturb your sleep.
Candace, do you watch your clock? I'm curious because you're just constantly like you're having trouble falling asleep and you're calculating like, oh gosh, now I've only got 7 hours and 30 minutes. Now I've only got 7 hours and 27 minutes. Like, are you watching it that way, or are you more nervous that, oh, my alarm's not going to go off and I just need to like keep checking, like, that's okay, I got the time.
I just like knowing the time. So, I've gotten a lot. 9 times out of 10, I have amazing sleep. So I have done all of these things over time to like decrease that. So I don't even wear my watch anymore because I have a clock that's far away. I don't want the light to disturb me. I don't want to be texted in the middle of the night, things of that nature. But I really just like to know the time.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Also, if you don't have blackout curtains, but still want that experience of sleep, eye masks, really, really good, because the lights can be on and you can make it dark and you can remove them, the lights are bright. That is one tip that I've used as when I was in grad school, when I needed to take like a little nap, because if you turn all the lights out, wake me up tomorrow. But if I just need like a 30-minute nap, I need the lights to like go on. So I'll put the mask on and then the alarm will go off and it's like, okay, I don't have a choice but to wake up now. So eye masks are really great. And you can find really nice ones that might be like soothing and put pressure on points, or put like cooling masks. Very, very nice.
That's a good thing to experiment with if no one's ever done that before. If
Yeah,
you've tried it, if you feel like you've tried everything. Sorry, go ahead, Jerome.
I have a clock and a lot of people, a lot of blinking lights, this and that device is on, or the charger's on, or whatever it is, and a little bit of street light coming through the shades. And I do find like as it's starting, if I wake up at say 5 a.m. when it's still dark, if I put a mask on, I sleep later.
Mm.
It's just a little bit of light can make a big difference. And someone was telling me about research on that. So don't necessarily assume that just little tiny bits of light really aren't bad. They might be affecting your sleep. Even your clock, Candace.
Yeah. Yes. I've dimmed it to the lowest light. So
there you go.
yeah. So, but great point. Great point. So also just to go back to the temperature, extreme heat or extreme cold is not, avoid that. Okay. So 35 degrees is too low. Okay. That we don't want that. A hot room can be uncomfortable. So just make the room cool enough that you can like get enough blankets, stay warm, things of that nature. Okay.
I don't know, Candace, we've got somebody on from Alberta. That they may, they go out to the ice flow and have some seal, and I'm just kidding you, Alberta. And, 35 is perfect.
Yeah, some bodies can tolerate a lot more.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So just back to your bedroom, you want to really get like nice sheets and nice pillows, things that make your bed like quality, like you want to go in it and sleep. You literally want to create that environment for yourself. Okay. You can also use essential oils, natural aromas, lavender to calm down that bedtime experience. Okay. So that is the bedroom.
Okay.
All right. So optimizing. This is now taking control of your sleep schedule. This is powerful. And this might be more challenging than like those little, let me, get new sheets or let me close the blinds. Okay.
Yeah. The bedroom is really about taking care of you, right? It's kind of like nice, almost pampering comfort kind of stuff.
Yes.
This is the work.
Yes. Well, it's all the work, but this is not fun work.
Yeah. Okay.
With my concern. So, okay. So keeping a consistent sleep schedule is super important. So what that means is getting up at the same time every day, even on the weekends and during vacations. I know. You go to vacation, it's Saturday morning, you're like, I want to sleep in. Not saying that you can't, but what I'm saying is that getting at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep, right? Going to bed early enough so you can get a good amount of sleep is preferred, is the best way to go. You want to wake up the same time each day, plus or minus 20 minutes, give or take. Yes, on the weekends. Yes, on the holidays. This really will help regulate your body's clock, and it will enhance your sleep time. Okay. So on the other side of that, sometimes we feel that we need naps. If you need a nap and your body is saying we need sleep, listen to it. Okay. Period. Listen to it. Now, if possible, you do want to avoid naps. Okay. If you do take a nap, you want to try and take less than an hour. You do not want to take naps like for 3 hours long, because you're going to go through a full sleep cycle and it might actually add to your sleep deficit, keeping you up at night, throwing your cycle off again. Right. And so if you are going to take a nap, try and get it in before 3 p.m. Okay, so again, naps are going to decrease your sleep debt, and so it's going to be harder for you to want to fall asleep. Okay,
Can
and
you
so
elaborate? You just used a term that not everybody's heard before, the sleep debt. Are you going to talk about that?
yeah, I mean, it's not too deep, but for the most part, we're talking about, we all have a certain amount of sleep that we need in a 24-hour period. And so if you take naps, you're taking away from what you need for your whole cycle, like your whole sleep cycle. So you only have a certain amount that you can have,
Hmm.
period.
Got it.
Mhm.
All right. So you just, if you, it's like you're building up pressure to sleep over the course of the day. And if you take a nap, it relieves some of that pressure. And so it might not be as easy to fall asleep.
Exactly.
So,
It might make it fragmented. It might actually lead to like insomnia. I know a lot of clients, those that suffer with like depression, they sleep a lot. And so they take these naps throughout the day and then they're unable to sleep through the night, and it just kind of adds to it. And so this is not easy, especially if that's already a pattern that you're in, to sort of force yourself through that space to get back on a rhythm. But again, small steps, right? And being mindful and bringing awareness to like what you're doing so that you can make those changes.
Should we ask the group how many people are currently regular nappers? Like you can pretty much count on, let's say, 4 out of the 7 days a week, you're definitely going to take a nap. Just say in the chat if you, nope, never.
some few yeses, yes,
Ooh,
yes.
quick.
Couple yeses. There's some yeses. I would say more, maybe a little more heavily no.
Yep.
Yeah, more heavily no.
Yeah.
But yeses were coming on. They were
Oh, were they?
gaining.
Yes, there are definitely nappers. Like I just know that. And then there are those that, sometimes you just need one. You just need a nap,
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, back to kids.
Sunday. I get Sunday completely.
Sunday's your nap day.
Yeah, sometimes anyway.
So,
Well,
Right
and,
after church, I'm
and
like,
Saturday after hiking, done.
yeah.
you earned it. You earned a nice rest.
Yeah. If I do extra exercise on the weekend, I definitely, by 3 o'clock need a little snooze.
Yes, absolutely. No harm in naps, just not too often. Okay, so now we're talking about just having a routine that you follow each night, because this will reinforce your healthy habits. And what we're doing is trying to signal our mind and body that like bedtime's approaching, right? And so again, back to the way we guide children. We have a schedule. Now, as adults, lots of things come into our world, and that's why we kind of create our own schedule. But we see why it can be helpful to have structure. It's for our body, for our mind, and everybody around us as well.
Yeah, we do. For kids, we do what we do: bath time, and then we read a book, and then we, brush the teeth and all the business before. I mean, that's like an hour lead up before they actually might fall asleep, right?
Yes. Baths and changing into cozy clothes and things like that. So all of that is what we want to do as adults as well. For the purpose of this, we're going to talk mainly about winding down, right? And disconnecting. So
Candace, I was trying to respond to some questions. On the regular schedule, did you talk about that, or did I miss that, or did I not?
We did. We talked about getting up at the same time every day,
right,
and getting the same amount of sleep. We did that part.
And probably getting up at the same time is even more important than going to bed at the same time if you have a choice, I guess. I've at least heard.
It's sort of it goes hand in hand.
Sure,
right?
of course.
And that's what you want. So even if you can get one in check before the other, that's fine. You want to eventually go to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time, as close as you can.
Yep. Good.
So in terms of that winding down, so I say, at least 30 minutes before it's time to go to bed. And some people might need more than that, right? Depending on what's helpful for you to kind of relax. Maybe that's quiet reading. Maybe that's some like stretching or listening to like soothing music or some like relaxation exercising, breathing techniques, things like that. Give yourself a, some sort of signal that it's almost time to go to bed. So you won't hear it now, but I have my Alexa, I know she's going to talk back to me in a second, but I have an alarm that says, yeah, here she is, that says, I set it at a certain time, it says it's time for bed. Now, I'm not going to bed at that time, but it definitely starts to set in my mind that like, okay, we've got about an hour or so before it's time to go to bed. I used to have something on my phone as well that would like go off, and I'm like, oh, that just means I need to sort of start shifting into that space. So give it a shot, right? Like maybe set an alarm just to see how it works for you. Maybe 90 minutes before, maybe an hour before, maybe 30 minutes before, whatever you feel like you want to start off with, to try and just give yourself an opportunity to start settling into your routine. Okay. Part of that is disconnecting. So we all know that tablets and cell phones and laptops and all of that keep your brain wired, awake, and it's really hard to wind down when you're plugged in. Okay. And so the light from these devices really will suppress like natural production of melatonin. So again, you want to disconnect. This picture that I have here, I know that on like recent updates on some iPhones, you can set time limits to like turn off your social media. You can silence it so people are not contacting you, right? So it gives you more opportunities to disconnect from your phone in a more proactive way, as opposed to like trying to put it down yourself. So you can sort of like,
oh, time's up. Look,
exactly.
it went off.
Exactly. Now the hard part is not snoozing the time limit, but you get better at it. So the other part of this is removing your TVs, computers, and other like gadgets from your bedroom. Listen, I know that is not easy for some people. I've got to tell you, that makes such a difference. It makes such a difference. Okay, so if you are not ready to take your TV out of the room, put a sleep timer on. Okay, make sure the TV goes off. Okay, remember, we want it to be dark and we want it to be quiet. The TV's on, that means there's light. That means there possibly is noise, right? And so there's also like, there's certain things that you don't necessarily want to be getting into your subconscious while you're sleeping. It might add to like your uneasy sleeping as well. So just consider that. So I'm going to say it again, but I'm going to say it here first. The bedroom is not for watching TV. I know that it's a comfortable spot, but it is not for that reason, especially if we're trying to improve our sleep health. It's not for eating. It's not for stressful conversations if we can help it. It is not for working. Those of you who work from home, do not work in your bed. Do not work in your bed. Sit on the floor if you have to. Do not bring your laptop and your paperwork and your stuff into bed. Because can you imagine that you're trying to relax, but you're also trying to relax in the same place that might actually keep you very awake? Right? Things that are going through your mind. You're thinking about tomorrow and this and that. So remember, the room itself, every other room in the house, we're not even talking about that. But that bedroom, that one place that is designated for your rest and your relaxation, keep it sacred. It's for sleep.
Good. Just so you know, Candace, you are covering a lot of stuff. We might be on track for running over, so just be mindful of all the things you got to cover.
We are almost done. I got like 2 more slides. We're almost done.
No, we're good. This is good. This is wonderful. Okay.
Awesome. Okay, so paving the way during the day. So again, back to those internal clocks, okay? So we're regulated by light and light exposure. So sunlight has the strongest effect. So you want to, if you want to try and get outside as often as you can. The seasons are going to change soon, especially I'm here in New Jersey. It's staying lighter longer. I'm trying to get some of the sunlight. Open up your windows and blinds. get the light in so that your body can regulate. Now, for those of you who work at night, you still want to stay on the same sleep schedule, okay? Every single day of the week. This means that you're not changing your sleep schedule on times where you have your days off. I know that it can be a little bit challenging. However, the more regular you keep your schedule, it aligns with your body clock and your sleep pattern. So this will increase your quality of sleep. So keep that in mind. This other side of the slide, the avoid alcohol, caffeine, and nicotine. Okay. A lot of people think that, having alcohol before bed is helpful to help you sleep. It actually does the opposite. And so, one, caffeine is a stimulant. So the later that you have caffeine, the more likely you are to create sleep problems. Okay, so you want to limit that. Chocolate also has a caffeine in it. So that person that had the chocolate in the pasta, hopefully you didn't have that too late, because it might have, kept you up a little bit. So that's one thing. You want to avoid alcohol within like 6 hours of your bedtime. Obviously, we all, if we're out and having fun and all this stuff, that's fine, but it does create this illusion of good sleep. But really what's happening is like your blood sugar like shoots up at a certain point and now you're awake. So it's not really going to help you. So just keep in mind not smoking or drinking within a certain time frame of going to bed, right? So nicotine or so is about 2 hours, caffeine about 3 to 7 hours, and alcohol is about 6 hours. Okay, so you might.
I didn't know. I knew alcohol and caffeine. I had never heard that nicotine was a stimulant as well and could disrupt sleep. That's interesting. Especially with all of the, the vaping and all these little things that I think people are doing that don't feel like a cigarette. You're not going out and having a cigarette right before bed, but if you are taking in any of that nicotine, it could be affecting your sleep.
Yep. And again, these are some hard habits that some people will have to break. But it's, again, we're bringing awareness to them so that you can kind of look at your sleep. Okay. So just about done. Exercising and eating well. Across the board, these are benefits for your health. Exercise promotes continuous sleep. Rigorous exercise, it like circulates your endorphins and it might, keep you up and excited and whatnot. So you might want to, depending on your body, you might not want to do such strenuous activities so close to bed. Maybe do more relaxing ones. But again, everyone's different. So just keep that in mind if that's something that you notice. And then that last one. Yes, the bed is only for sleep and sex. I have to say it again. You remove your TVs, the computers, those gadgets. It is not for anything except for these two things. You want a strong mental association between your bed and sleep. You don't want to associate it with other things, okay? So bed is only for sleep and sex.
Good. And sex usually makes you sleepy right after anyway, right? So
there you go.
Fall asleep right after, right?
There you go. So this last slide here is, okay, so if you can't sleep, so one, again, you want to avoid that connection of not being able to sleep and like your bedroom. So if you cannot sleep after about 5 or 10 minutes, you want to get out of bed and you want to do something that's going to relax you and kind of make you sleepy. That might be like controlled breathing or like a mindfulness meditation. If we have enough time, I will show you one. But again, another thing to do while you're trying to figure out how your sleep is working for you, or if it's not, if it has an opportunity for better quality, tracking. We track a lot, right? On this journey, we track our eating, we track everything, our water intake. Why not track your sleep too, right? So this is going to allow you to see how well you're sleeping and identify anything that might be helping or hurting your sleep. And I'll provide that for you all later as well, just a sleep tracker. And don't give up. This takes time to find what works for you, okay? You want to experiment, just to Jerome's point, like try different things to see what really helps. And if you find that your sleep is worsening or you're just really having problems that are persisting, talk to your doctor, because there might be some medical thing going on as opposed to just, all the other things that we talked about tonight.
Yeah, I always think we've heard this before, Candace, this sort of don't stay in bed. If you're having trouble falling asleep, like the stress of laying there and not sleeping sort of creates this stress about being in your bed, or about, kind of trying to go to sleep, and that stress could repeat itself. So, if you're having one of those stressful moments of either not going to sleep or waking up at 3 a.m. going, I can't go back to sleep, I can't go back to sleep, the rule of thumb is to get up and leave your bed, which, totally counterintuitive to what I would have thought. But
Well,
then,
I can tell you, 'cause I've tried it,
okay.
and part of it is, I think it's a conditioning thing.
Exactly.
So you need to try it for about a week
Mm,
to teach your body that, oh, if you're back in the bed, that's sleeping.
yeah.
So it takes a while. I've never sort of had the patience or the desire or whatever to keep getting up
Mm,
7 nights in a row or whatever to try to do that. And the only other tip I've heard is be careful not to get engrossed in something. Nothing that you really care too much about.
Yeah.
No bill paying, no problem solving, all that.
Yeah. Don't go get your phone. You want to do
Don't
something
get your
so
phone.
boring. You want to like read the dictionary or something, or like some pamphlet that's in your kitchen about how to work your like refrigerator or something. Something that's just gonna like bore you back to sleep, literally. And the moment that you feel sleepy, go back to bed. That
Mhm.
moment, right then and there, so that you can reestablish that association with bed and sleep.
Yeah,
There you go.
I found that if I wake up in the middle of the night, because I'm not good at mostly because, like I said, I sleep in sweatshirt and sweatpants, but I don't want to get out of the cold covers to go find something else to do. So I will lay there. But I have found that turning on, I have this like series of books on my Audible that I've already read, that so I don't feel like I'm missing out, but I'll just start one of those books up again, and just because if I lay there at 3 a.m. and I'm stressed about something, then and I just need to get my mind off of that thing, whatever
Yep.
that thing is. And as long as I switch gears and I've got my mind doing, something, just listening to a little bit of a book, I almost always fall right back to sleep in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Like not a
Candace,
new book, an old one.
do you have any other turn your mind off tricks? Because I got a question earlier. One that I've heard, and occasionally this works for me, is it's an exercise and you kind of have to be not too obsessed about it, but picture a gentle, quiet creek or stream, kind of slow moving. And if you've got a thought, you sort of gently, without working at it, put that thought on a lily pad or just put it in the water and let it wash and float down the stream. And then another thought will come and you just find it's all no stress, and just kind of put that one and let it go. And then whatever you're thinking about, just putting boxes on a conveyor belt, whatever.
Is
What
there a
you,
lake full of leaves, Jerome,
here,
where
way
like if
down
we
way
way
down
down
the
the
stream.
river that have got all of your worries?
Yeah, it's the Mississippi Delta, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
mindful meditation. Like yes, those are great
Mm,
techniques. And you just
there you go.
guided us so nicely. I was like, I'm kind of calming down myself
Calming
right now
down.
listening to you.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a great technique. And because of the nature of time, I don't want us to run over, but I can give
Oh,
some resources afterwards, that there are some breathing exercises that can be really helpful that you can do in bed, that can actually calm your nervous system down. That's essentially what's going on when you're, all stressed out. Your nervous system is heightened. You're in that fight or flight, and you can use some breathing techniques to actually calm yourself down.
yeah,
Well,
there was
let's say, oh, go ahead.
there was a question about the quality of sleep on sleep meds of various kinds versus, for lack of a better term, natural sleep. Any research on that? Have they figured that out?
I don't look into that too far. A lot of my practice is more holistic, and medication. If I feel that that's something that's necessary, I'm definitely going to send a client to the doctor to get some additional support, and then I will help them monitor what's going on. So,
All right. So there you go. Try Google Scholar. If you haven't used Google Scholar, just Google Scholar, and it'll tell you where to go, and that takes you to, and then you just do, it's all a research database, and put sleep quality medications and see what comes up.
I will
Good.
say that melatonin, which we naturally produce, you can actually buy it over the counter in different dosages, and that actually helps with like better quality of sleep as well.
Yeah. I don't know
you
if
ever-
high doses of that is totally benign though.
Yeah, small doses, and it depends. And again, still talk to your doctor about doing these things.
Do you
Got
ever
it.
recommend things like chamomile or lavender as a calming, like teas and things like that?
Absolutely, absolutely, right? So anything that's pretty soothing, right? And so essential oils like lavender, chamomile, those things are really helpful, whether you drink it or you use maybe an oil and kind of give yourself a massage. Even if you, I know I have like a heated pad that's like, it just has lavender in it. So it's heated, it's weighted, it's really calming. But yeah, absolutely. I burn candles all the time because of the scents. It's very calming. So
Yeah, I do
Good.
chamomile tea a lot. That's
Yeah.
usually especially if I
yeah.
know I've had a really stressful day.
Mhm.
Something about chamomile tea just helps not necessarily put me to sleep, but it definitely helps calm me down.
Yeah, and that's great as part of that bedtime routine too. If you are okay, I go and I put my jammies on, or I take my warm shower, I put my soft, jammies on, and then I make my chamomile tea, and that's a great like ritual, I think, to have.
All right,
Yep.
we got to start
Good.
to loop around. We've got door prize, and I think I would propose, if Candace has time, for people who want to stick around, if you have time to do a quick mindfulness exercise,
sure.
or just relaxation
breathing,
exercise,
or
whatever it was. Yeah.
Good.
So we need we
Okay,
need
so
a prize winner.
We've got a prize winner, and if you are still here, Robin Blade, you are the winner of tonight's UNJURY protein prize bag, which means that if you, she might have been quick here. Let's see, did Robin raise her hand already? She did. Congrats,
All right.
Robin. You knew what you're doing. I guess you've been here before. Robin, you're the winner, so we are going to send you an UNJURY protein goodie bag. For those of you who are here for the first time, we do hope that you will check out the UNJURY website. We have extremely high quality proteins in some really cool flavors like Moonbeam Mist and root beer. We've got some great soups for the winter. So actually for all year round, if you are going into surgery, I would certainly try some of these soups ahead of time, because people call them lifesavers after surgery. So French onion, beef and herb, chicken soup.
We're the brand that is recommended at all of the top rated hospitals in the country. And we like to remind people that quality actually tastes best.
Yep,
And
good quality stuff.
Christy had it up on the waiting slide. There's a dietitian who commented recently, a good observer, said people who use UNJURY just seem to do better. So there you go.
There we go. Okay, Robin, be sure to send me your mailing address so I know where to send your prize. So just email us at supportgroup@unjury.com, send us your mailing address, and we'll get your prize out to you. So anybody who wants to stick around, we're going to let Candace lead us through we're all going to fall asleep and go to bed right after we hang up. So we're going to have a quick breathing or something, some kind of exercise. But to the rest of you, please join us during the week at UNJURY Cares on Facebook. Join Candace at the Bariatric Social Worker on Instagram. You'll learn all about whatever Candace is kind of sharing, doing, offering. So 2 different places, Candace on Instagram or the Bariatric Social Worker on Instagram, and UNJURY Cares on Facebook.
So
And
the Bariatric Social Worker on Instagram.
correct.
Got it. You got some nice comments flowing through the chat, Candace. So there you go.
Thank you.
People learned a lot.
Amazing. I'm so glad.
Good.
Okay. So
All right, I'm going to wrap up here and get really comfortable.
Okay, this is pretty quick. It is like I mentioned before, a lot of times when we're all stressed out, our nervous system is very heightened. Excuse me. So we've probably all heard of that fight or flight response, right? So that's like your nervous system is overactive, you feel stimulated and not relaxed and ready for transitioning to sleep. So what we want to do is we want to practice a breathing exercise to activate our parasympathetic nervous system. That's basically responsible for the resting part, okay? So this is called alternate nostril breathing. It's like a yoga breathing technique. Okay, so what you're gonna do is, and just as a disclaimer, if you've got like respiratory health concerns or asthma or like high blood pressure, this might not be the best thing for you to do, but deep, slow, intentional breathing can be helpful as well. But if that is not you and you want to follow along, follow along. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your thumb.
Seriously, I thought you were just supposed to actually be focusing on it, but just like do it. You actually use your thumb.
Yes, Rachel, I see you're ready. I see.
I'm sitting here trying to do like, I don't think I could try and mentally breathe only through one nostril.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your thumb and you're gonna put in your right nostril, okay? And so with this nostril coverage, you're gonna essentially close your eyes and you're gonna exhale fully and slowly through your left nostril. Okay, so blow it all out. Once you've exhaled completely, you're gonna release your left nostril. And you're gonna put your ring finger, your right nostril, you're gonna put your ring finger on your left side. So you're just using these two, left.
Oh, wait. Oh, I see, like that same hand.
Right.
Okay.
So,
I was going like this.
I know. This is why it's going to help, because your brain is now focused on.
Got it. Okay.
Breathing, of course, okay. So once you have switched your ring finger to your right nostril, then you're going to breathe in slowly and deeply from the right side. Okay. And then you're going to switch thumb to the right, blow out. Ring finger to the left. And you're going to keep doing that for a few rounds. This is extremely helpful for people who have a lot of anxiety, because it's really just sending like calming signals to your brain and your nervous system. And if it's dark and you're already like your eyes are closed and you're like, I'm tired, oh man, you will fall asleep. You will fall asleep. So, oh, Christy's, she's gone. She's there. She's in it.
I was in it. That's actually really cool. There was something about the way my brain couldn't focus on anything else. It was just like, when do I switch fingers? Yeah.
Exactly. Perfect. So that's an exercise you can try. Again, it's one of many.
Cool. Yes.
Great. Yeah.
Great.
Super
Thank you,
cool.
Candace. All right. So we didn't get to finish with our group hug, but thank you first for being on. This is really great of you, and it's obviously so important. We spend a third of our life trying to sleep, so very good. All right,
yes.
we'll get you back again. We do a group hug. So here we go. Everybody ready?
All right.
Hugs to all
Hugs
of
to
you
the
who
group.
are still here, and everybody who left even. Hugs to everybody, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Thanks, Candace.
Thanks.
Bye, Rachel.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Good night, everybody.
Bye.